What if I told you that everything you've learned about wealth, success, and happiness is based on a fundamental lie? What if the economic system we trust to create prosperity is actually harming our planet and stealing our peace of mind? And what if an old monk found a completely different way to think about economics that could save humanity and the earth? Namaste, my friends. I am Venerable Soma. I have lived within these ancient temple walls for 60 years. You might wonder what an old monk knows about economics. I do not work in banks. I do not trade stocks. I own nothing but these robes and my meditation cushion. Yet, because I stand outside the flow of modern commerce, I see what those caught up in it cannot. The current is carrying us all toward a waterfall. This morning, two visitors came to our temple gate. Both were successful by worldly standards, with expensive cars and luxury watches. They asked me the same question in different ways. Venerable Soma, why do I feel so empty inside? This question reveals the great crisis of our time, deeply linked to two disasters threatening human civilization: the destruction of our natural world and the growing gap between the rich and the poor. Every morning I walk through our temple village. When I first arrived as a young monk, our village celebrated when families had enough. Enough rice, enough firewood, enough fabric to clothe their children. The word enough was spoken with gratitude. Today, that word has vanished, replaced by a single endless word: more. We chase more like hungry ghosts, those tormented spirits in Buddhist teachings who can never be satisfied no matter how much they consume. This change comes from an economic philosophy that has taken over the world: free market economics. This system makes certain assumptions about human nature and happiness that I believe are deeply flawed. These flawed assumptions are leading us toward disaster. Consider the two great crises of our time. First, our planet is burning. Climate scientists warn that we're running out of time. The glaciers I used to see from our temple have receded up the mountains. Monsoons come at odd times. Scientists caution that if we do not change our path soon, we will ruin the very systems that support life on Earth. Second, the gap between the rich and poor grows wider each year. In my lifetime, inequality has reached levels not seen since the age of kings and peasants. I recently read about private yachts that cost millions of dollars to maintain, while most people struggle for basic necessities. Even those who work hard find themselves running in place, exhausted by the effort of survival. These two crises stem from the same toxic well: an economic system that confuses accumulation with achievement, consumption with contentment, and growth with wisdom. Modern economics assumes that people are mainly selfish and that we care only about ourselves. It assumes that more consumption always leads to more happiness. It assumes that the purpose of an economy is simply to produce more and more, measured by gross domestic product. It views the natural world as merely a resource to exploit and pollution as someone else's issue. Most importantly, this economic system misunderstands the nature of happiness. It tells us that happiness comes from buying new shoes, upgrading to a faster car, or acquiring a bigger house. But this is a cruel deception. We are trapped in a never-ending cycle: desire, acquisition, brief satisfaction, then emptiness, and then desire again. We keep going in circles, never finding lasting peace. The entrepreneur with the expensive car works 70 hours a week, rarely sees his children, and his health declines. The executive with the luxury watch lies awake at night, unable to calm her racing mind. Both have achieved what society defines as success. Both are miserable. This is where Buddhist wisdom offers a radically different perspective. Buddha taught that all beings are interconnected. We are not separate individuals competing for resources. We are like threads in a vast tapestry. When one thread is pulled, the entire cloth moves. Your well-being and my well-being are linked. When we pollute the rivers, we poison ourselves. When we cut down forests, we destroy the planet's lungs. Buddha also taught that human nature is not primarily selfish. Yes, we have desires and attachments, but at our core, we are compassionate and generous. A child who sees another child crying instinctively wants to comfort them. This compassion is natural. The problem is that our economic system stifles this natural compassion and encourages our worst tendencies. Most importantly, Buddha taught that true happiness does not come from the outside world. It does not come from possessions, status, or sensory pleasures. These provide only fleeting satisfaction, much like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. True happiness comes from within. It arises from living wisely, cultivating compassion, being present in each moment, and letting go of endless craving. Here in our temple, when a monk feels discontent, we do not send him shopping. We invite him to meditate, to examine his mind, and to discover the source of his dissatisfaction. We teach him to find joy in simple things, the taste of morning rise, the beauty of rain on the temple roof, and the satisfaction of serving others. Imagine if we applied these Buddhist principles to economics. Instead of more is always better, we would say enough is abundance. Instead of maximize your own gain, we would say everyone's well-being is connected. Instead of pollution is an externality, we would recognize that the welfare of humans and nature are intertwined. Instead of measuring success by GDP, we would measure it by well-being, happiness, and harmony with nature. This is what I call Buddhist economics. This is not just a theory. Some countries measure gross national happiness instead of just gross domestic product. Some have chosen to share wealth more fairly through progressive taxes and strong social programs. Some are rapidly moving away from fossil fuels. These choices are possible. The question is whether we have the wisdom and courage to make them. You might wonder, but Venerable Soma, I am not a Buddhist. Are these teachings only for Buddhists? No, my friend. You only need to recognize that people are capable of compassion, that we are interconnected, and that lasting happiness comes from meaning rather than materialism. Every major spiritual tradition shares some version of these truths. Christians are taught to love their neighbors. Muslims practice charity. Hindus understand karma. Jews are called to pursue justice. The essence is the same. We are meant to live not just for ourselves, but for the good of all. Let me be honest about the challenges we face. First, our busyness. We rush through life, never stopping to ask whether we are going in the right direction. Second, our denial. Changing requires admitting that our current path is wrong. This can threaten our identity, so we close our eyes and pretend everything is fine. Third, our ignorance. We have not educated ourselves about the cost of our lifestyle, how our comfort may cause others to suffer, and how our consumption harms the earth. But here is the beautiful truth I have discovered in my 60 years of practice. When we live with wisdom, compassion, and awareness, we become happier. This is not the shallow happiness of a new purchase, which fades quickly, but the deep happiness of a meaningful life. This is not about sacrifice or suffering. This is about discovering what truly matters and organizing our lives and our economy around those things. The way forward is clear. We can reshape our economic system to create well-being for all people while protecting the planet. We can measure success not by how much we produce and consume, but by the quality of our lives and the health of our world. We can choose to live in harmony with nature and with each other. I invite you to join me on this journey. In the teachings that follow, I will show you how Buddhist wisdom can change the way we think about work, consumption, inequality, sustainability, and happiness. I will share practical steps you can take in your own life. And I will explain how we can work together to create an economic system that supports life rather than destroys it. The temple bell has rung. It is time to wake up. Let us begin.